Very good afternoon. You're watching the midday news on Rajya Sabha television, where we get you the biggest developing news stories at the top of one. First up, the headlines. Supreme Court to hear two pleas in connection with the Kathua gang rape and murder case at 2 p.m. today. Petitions include one seeking CBI probe and transfer of case to Delhi. Accused tell court in Kathua they are willing to undergo narco tests. Over 10 years after the Mecca Masjid blast in Hyderabad, the 5 accused acquitted by NIA court. Court says evidence against accused not satisfactory. Prime Minister Modi to take part in a 52-nation Commonwealth heads of government meet in London for the first time. Focus on preventing extremism at the meet. Prime Minister to also attend a first-ever India-Nordic summit in Stockholm during 5-day visit beginning today. "44 districts are no longer under Maoist influence," says government. Left-wing extremism now confined only to 30 worst-hit districts. Home Ministry says a strategy involving security and development measures have shrunk Naxal violence in the last 4 years. And Commonwealth Games 2018 performance just beginning, says Sports Minister Rajya Singh Rathore. Assures India will work to better this achievement in the Olympic Games after its third best performance at the Gold Coast event. The biggest developing news stories. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear two petitions in connection with the Kathua gang rape and murder case at 2 p.m. today. Among the two petitions are one filed by a Kathua-based woman lawyer representing the family of the minor who was raped and murdered in January. Lawyer Deepika Singh Rajawat, representing the victim's family, had alleged a threat to her life in pursuing the case in the Kathua court. And the second plea has been filed by a Delhi-based lawyer seeking a CBI probe and the transfer of the case from Jammu to Delhi. Meanwhile, in related news, the District Court in Kathua has asked the Jammu and Kashmir Crime Branch to give copies of the charge sheet to all the accused in the case. The next date of hearing of the case has been fixed to 28th of April, and the accused have said that they are ready for narco tests and have pleaded not guilty. The juvenile arrested in connection with the case has moved a bail application before the judicial magistrate. That application will also be heard later today. 8 accused involving a juvenile against whom a separate charge sheet has been filed allegedly held an 8-year-old in captivity for a week in January this year. They allegedly sedated her, gang raped her before killing her.
इसमें कोई 226 के करीब विटनेसेस हैं। उसका आइडिया यही है कि जिन लोगों को पकड़ के अंदर डाला गया है वो 5, 7, 8 साल तक बाहर ना आए, कोई ग्राउंड ही ना बन पाए, विटनेस एग्जामिन ही ना हो पाए। और चालान भी एक पॉलिटिकल चालान है। चालान में ये बताया गया है कि मोटिव एक कम्युनिटी को वहां से बाहर निकालने का था, एक कम्युनिटी के मन में डर पैदा करने का था। तो जो डेमोग्राफिक चेंज की जो रियलिटी जम्मू के लोग जिसकी बात करना शुरू कर गए थे, जो विजिबली उनको दिख रहा था कि डेमोग्राफिक चेंज स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड हो रही है, शायद उसका काउंटर नैरेटिव, उसका जो काउंटर है वो चालान में डालने की कोशिश गई है।
And 5 accused in the 2007 Mecca Masjid blast case, including Swami Asimanand, has been acquitted by a court in Hyderabad. 9 people, remember, were killed and 58 people were injured in the blast at the Mecca Masjid on 18th of May 2007. The special NIA court had concluded the trial last week. The case was initially investigated by the local police, after which it was transferred to the CBI. And the central agency filed a charge sheet, and later the NIA took over the case from the CBI in 2011. 10 people, including Swami Asimanand, were named accused in the case, while 5 were arrested and faced trial.
Prosecution is not proved the case, so all the accused, Asimananda, Devendra Gupta, Lokesh Sharma, Bharat Bhai and Rajendra Chaudhary, while they are all have been acquitted for the charges framed against them.
On to some other news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will proceed on a 5-day visit to Sweden, UK and Germany today. The visit aims at enhancing the bilateral cooperation in key areas like trade, investments and science and technology. On the first leg of his visit, the Prime Minister will attend the first ever India-Nordic Summit at Stockholm, which is being co-hosted by India and Sweden. PM Modi will also hold bilateral discussions with his Swedish counterpart as well as the leaders of the Nordic countries. While in London, Prime Minister Modi will take part in the Commonwealth Heads of a Government meeting being hosted by the UK. He will also hold bilateral discussions with British Prime Minister Theresa May during the visit. And on his way back, the Prime Minister will have a brief stopover in Berlin on 20th of April, where he is scheduled to meet German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and British Prime Minister Theresa May will have a summit meeting on 18th of April. That is a day before the 25th Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in London. Now, it will be the Prime Minister's first ever visit to the Commonwealth Heads of a Government meeting, where the major theme this year would be preventing violent extremism.
The 25th Commonwealth Heads of Government meet at CHOGM will take place on 19th and 20th April in London. The theme is the common future of member countries. Heads of governments will decide whether CHOGM can be developed as a new trade and cooperation bloc on the lines of ASEAN. The idea, mooted by British Prime Minister Theresa May, will be discussed in both formal and informal meetings. The conglomeration of 52 nations is almost 2.5 billion people. The trade is projected to reach $1 trillion by the year 2020.
It has a very strong international voice, particularly on developing country issues and particularly the developing issues that impact small states and small island states in the Pacific, in the Caribbean, in the Indian Ocean. Over the years, it has also acquired some capacity to render assistance to these countries. And it is this dimension of the Commonwealth, its focus and specialization on the development issues that impact small island states, small states, that is of particular interest to India.
To discuss the future of CHOGM, India and UK will have a bilateral summit on 18th April. More than a dozen agreements are expected to be signed after a meeting related to trade, investment, scientific and technological cooperation. Both countries will also discuss issues related to education, especially on easing visa for students and mutual recognition of degrees of both countries.
What you will be seeing in this visit is something called as the living bridge that we will be talking about. The second one will be a lot of tech focus. Tech focus because we are looking at the 21st century, we are looking at new areas of engagement between the two countries, whether it's big data, whether it is artificial intelligence, whether it is healthcare, whether it is the concept of digitization and how do we apply it to various spheres of activity, whether it's healthcare, where we see a lot of partnerships going on.
India is the fourth largest investor and second largest job creator in United Kingdom. UK has invested almost $25 billion in India. Both countries will hope to see that the cooperation makes a positive impact on CHOGM nations.
After Brexit, CHOGM has become very important for United Kingdom. And India being the largest country in the Commonwealth, it will be interesting to see that how much importance is being given to India in the development and cooperation among the Commonwealth countries. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha television with camera person Junaid in Delhi.
And before his London visit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Stockholm, where he will take part in the first ever summit with Nordic nations, including Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland and Iceland. Among these nations, Norway has the highest investment in India from its pension fund.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will reach Stockholm on April 16 for summit meetings with all heads of governments of the 5 Nordic countries the next day. Cooperation on technology, investment and defence will be the part of main agenda. India needs the cooperation of Nordic nations in the United Nations and other international fora.
For India, Nordic countries are potential source for clean technology, environmental solution, port modernization, cold chain, skill development, innovation, etc. They could be our ideal partner for many flagship programs.
Prime Minister Modi will also have separate meeting with Swedish King. India is working to strengthen Sweden's role as a key partner for India, especially in innovation and defense. Sweden has expertise in making defense equipment. Nearly 25,000 Indians live in Sweden and over 170 Swedish companies have invested $1.4 billion since 2000. Around 70 Indian companies have invested in Sweden. India-Sweden annual bilateral trade stands at around $1.8 billion. Indo-Nordic trade stood at $5.3 billion in the year 2016-17 with cumulative FDI to India at $2.5 billion. In Stockholm, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also meet the Indian diaspora.
Akhilesh Suman, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some other news, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley took oath on Sunday as the member of the Rajya Sabha for a new 6-year term. Jaitley was administered the oath of office in the chamber of Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anand Kumar, his Deputy Vijay Goyal, Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad, HRE Minister Prakash Javadekar, Railways Minister Piyush Goyal, Urban Development Minister Hardeep Singh Puri and MOS Finance Shiv Pratap Shukla were present during the swearing-in. Leader of the opposition, Ghulam Nabi Azad, was also present. Elected to the Rajya Sabha from Uttar Pradesh last month, a special swearing-in was done because of the Finance Minister's health condition, who has been working from his home after being diagnosed with a kidney-related problem. Following his re-election to the upper house, Jaitley was also appointed as the leader of the Rajya Sabha.
मैं अरुण जेटली जो राज्यसभा का सदस्य निर्वाचित हुआ हूं, ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा तथा जिस पद को मैं ग्रहण करने वाला हूं, उसके कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक निर्वहन करूंगा।
On to news from poll-bound Karnataka, the Congress party has announced its first list of 218 candidates for the 224-member Karnataka Assembly elections. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, who has been contesting from the Varuna constituency since 2008, will now contest from Chamundeshwari constituency in Mysuru. And State Party Chief G. Parameshwara will contest from Korategere. Almost all the sitting MLAs have been given tickets. The name of the candidates were finalized by the Election Committee of the Congress Party. Election to the state, remember, will be held on 12th of May and the results will be declared on 15th of May. And now news from the BJP's camp. The party's Central Election Committee, comprising Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Party Chief Amit Shah, held a meeting to finalize the party's candidate for the 12th of May Karnataka Assembly polls. The BJP had declared its first list of 72 candidates on 8th of April. The party's top brass is believed to have discussed probables for the remaining seats in the 224-member assembly. The BJP is seeking to come back to power in the state, dislodging the Congress party. H.D. Devagowda-led JDS is the third major player in the contest. News from Andhra Pradesh now, where a statewide bandh has been called today by several groups fighting for special category status for the state. Several opposition parties have also backed the call. The bandh has been called by the Andhra Pradesh Pratyeja Hoda Sadhana Samiti. The opposition parties, including YSR Congress and the left parties, have extended support to the shutdown call. But the ruling TDP, that is supporting the cause, has decided to stay away from the agitation. Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu reviewing the security situation with the police officials as well. Educational institutions are shut and examinations that are scheduled for the day have also been postponed in view of the stir. State Road Transport Corporation buses have also remained confined to the depots as the protesters staged sit-ins as well as road roko at various places.
The assurances that were given in the parliament by an act, nothing has been implemented. So the the commotion and anger is brewing among the people of Andhra Pradesh. As part of it, today we are observing this Bandh.
In all the 13 districts, all opposition parties, mass organizations, students and youth organizations also, they are participating in the Bandh. People are also cooperating because for the last 4 years, injustice has been done by the Modi government. Again and again, they are committing the same mistake.
It's very unfortunate. If they are genuine for fighting for the cause, they would have supported our cause. Instead of that, they are issuing notices to the parties, they are issuing notice to the people, and they are using preventive arrests. This is unwarranted, and is highly objectionable.
In midday news, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news.
Ghata, one of the oldest and most unique percussion instruments of southern India. You can play it not only with your fingers, but palms, wrists and heels as well. You'll be surprised, but the air inside the ghatam reverberates, creating the musical notes. 5 elements of nature, earth, water, air, fire and space make up the composition of this beautiful musical piece, which has found an apt place in most of the ancient books.
Welcome back after the break. Inflation based on wholesale prices eased marginally to 2.47% in the month of March on cheaper food articles, especially pulses and vegetables. On the basis of wholesale price index, inflation was at 2.48% in February and 5.11% in March last year. According to a government data released today, food articles showed a deflation at 0.29% in March as against a 0.88% inflation in the preceding month. Inflation in fuel and power basket, however, rose to 4.7% in the month of March from 3.81% in the previous month. In a significant indicator of the shrinking arc of the influence of left-wing extremists, the government has removed 44 districts from the list of 126 Naxalism-hit districts. The released list of districts affected by Maoist violence and activity was approved by the Union Home Ministry as part of its redrawn security-related expenditure. The number of worst affected districts has also gone down from 35 to 30, with the 3 districts in Jharkhand and 2 districts in Bihar no longer in the list. The new list of left-wing extremist-hit areas now includes 90 districts, of which only 58 had seen violence in the past year, spread across 11 states. Under the SRE scheme, the centre reimburses the security-related expenditure incurred by the states on transportation, communication, hiring of vehicles, stipend to surrendered Maoists, construction of infrastructure for roads, etc. in the left-wing extremist-affected districts. And top army commanders are reviewing the regional security architecture and deliberating on key challenges facing the nation, particularly along the borders with China and Pakistan, at a 6-day-long conference in the national capital. The conference, being chaired by Army Chief General Bipin Rawat, will deliberate on specific issues relating to various frontline formations and also explore ways to speed up infrastructure development along the border with China. Important issues being taken up are the management of the security dynamics, the mitigation of future security threats, and enhancement of combat edge over potential adversaries. Major focus of the conference is bolstering the Army's overall operational preparedness along the nearly 4,000-kilometer-long border with China. The Army Commanders' Conference is held biannually for important policy decisions. Security situation in Jammu and Kashmir will also be discussed at the meet. On to some other news. The Indian Space Research Organisation, or ISRO, successfully carried out its 4th and final orbit tracing operation of IRNSS-1I navigation satellite on Sunday. The IRNSS-1I is the 8th satellite in the constellation, with the 7 others already in space, which are part of the navigation with Indian constellation system NAVIC series. It is designed indigenously to provide accurate position information service to its users in India. The Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle or PSLV C-41 had successfully launched the satellite from Sriharikota last Thursday. And in the latest diplomatic conflict between India and Pakistan, New Delhi has lodged a strong protest after its consular team was prevented from meeting Sikh pilgrims in Pakistan. The MEA said that Ajay Bisaria, High Commissioner to Pakistan, along with other diplomats, were to visit Gurudwara Panja Sahib in Pakistan at the invitation of the chairman of the Evacuee Trust Property Board to meet the Sikh pilgrims there, but they were asked to return back. Pakistani authorities reportedly blocked the Indian High Commission from performing basic consular and protocol duties for its Indian citizens. As a result, India lodged a protest with the Pakistan Foreign Office on Sunday. 1,800 Sikh pilgrims from India had travelled to Pakistan last week to celebrate Baisakhi at the Gurudwara in Rawalpindi. The MEA statement said, and I quote, India has lodged a strong protest with Pakistan against this inexplicable diplomatic discourtesy, pointing out that these incidents constitute a clear violation of the Vienna Convention of 1961, the bilateral protocol to visit religious shrines 1974 and the Code of Conduct of 1992, recently reaffirmed by both the nations. Meanwhile, Pakistan on Sunday issued a statement over the denial of consular access to visiting Sikh pilgrims, saying that the cancellation of the meeting was done considering an emotionally charged environment and the possibility of any untoward situation. The latest diplomatic conflict comes a week after India and Pakistan alleged harassment of each other's diplomats in each other's capitals. And on to news from Commonwealth Games. India ended their campaign at the Games with an overall haul of 66 medals. This is their third best performance in the Commonwealth Games history. Here is a report.
Day 11 of the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games saw India winning 7 medals, including 1 gold, 4 silver and 2 bronze. The only gold on the final day of the tournament came in women's singles badminton. The All India finals saw PV Sindhu pitted against Saina Nehwal. Saina won the high-pressure match in straight sets 21-18, 23-21 that lasted an hour. Saina had earlier claimed the singles gold in the 2010 Games. India missed the gold in the men's singles badminton final though. Recently crowned world number 1 Kidambi Srikanth losing in 3 games to Malaysian icon Lee Chong Wei, claiming the silver. In men's doubles also, Satvik Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty claiming a silver, losing to the English pair of Marcus Ellis and Chris Langridge. Another silver came in squash when the duo of Deepika Pallikal Karthik and Joshna Chinnappa lost to their New Zealand challengers in the women's doubles final. The 2 bronze medals of the day came in table tennis. In an all-India affair, Manika Batra and Satyan Gyanashekaran beat Achanta Sharat Kamal and Mohammad Das in 3 games in the mixed doubles match. In the men's singles, Achanta Sharat Kamal defeated Samuel Walker of England for the second bronze. Indian competitors ended their campaign at the Games in 3rd place with 66 medals, including 26 gold, 20 silver and 20 bronze medals. Australia stood first in the medals tally with 198 medals, including 80 gold, 59 silver and 59 bronze, followed by England with 136 medals. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
So India gave its third best performance in the history of the Commonwealth Games this year. So here is a quick comparison of India's performance at the Games since 2002.
India with 26 gold, 20 silver and 20 bronze had a total of 66 medals at the 21st Commonwealth Games and claimed the 3rd spot. This is India's 3rd best performance in the history of the Games. In the 2010 Games in Delhi, India registered its best performance in the event so far. In the Delhi Games, India bagged 38 gold, 27 silver and 36 bronze medals. Its medal tally at the end of the Games stood at 101 and it was the 2nd on the list of winners. In the Manchester Games in 2002, India bagged 30 gold, 22 silver and 17 bronze medals. Its total tally was 69 and stood 4th on the medals list. In the 2014 Games in Glasgow, India bagged 15 gold, 30 silver and 19 bronze medals. With a total of 64 medals, it stood 5th on the medals tally at the 20th Commonwealth Games. India bettered its performance at Glasgow at the just concluded Gold Coast Games. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the Indian team's performance has been hailed at the Commonwealth Games. President Ramnath Kovind took to Twitter to congratulate the Indian contingent for finishing 3rd in the medals tally. He said that the athletes have inspired millions with their performances. Prime Minister Modi also congratulated the Indian team members in a series of tweets. He said, and I quote him now, "Every athlete who represented India at the Commonwealth Games this year inspires us. Their life stories illustrate the power of dedication and a never-say-die attitude that made them overcome countless hurdles to attain the heights of success that they did at the Commonwealth Games. I hope India's success at the 2018 Commonwealth Games motivates more youngsters to pursue sports and creates a larger awareness on the importance of fitness in everyone's lives. On our part, we in the government are doing everything possible to strengthen the Fit India movement," the Prime Minister said in a series of tweets. Sports Minister Rajya Singh Rathore has said that India will look to outdo its performance at the Games at the Olympics.
जिस तरह से भारतीय खिलाड़ियों ने प्रदर्शन करा, जिस जोश और जज्बे के साथ वे खेले, उन्होंने पूरे भारतवर्ष को गौरवान्वित कर दिया। हर जगह, हर स्टेडियम में तिरंगा लहरा रहा था, राष्ट्रगान बज रहा था। जिस तरह से खेलो इंडिया स्कूल गेम्स में जो हमने माहौल दिया, वो किसी राष्ट्रमंडल खेल से कम नहीं है और वो हम हर स्कूल बच्चे को हर साल देंगे और वहाँ से जो खिलाड़ी निकलेंगे वो एक अलग स्तर के होंगे। सभी खिलाड़ियों को मैं बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ, लेकिन ख़ास तौर से आज पूरे भारतवर्ष को, हर भारतीय को जिन्होंने इन खिलाड़ियों का समर्थन करा। अगर सही हम सबका समर्थन रहा तो आगे 2024 और 2028 ओलंपिक्स में बहुत पदक आएंगे और हम पदकों की गिनती तभी करेंगे।
And the curtains were drawn on the 21st Commonwealth Games at Gold Coast in Australia on Sunday evening with a glittering ceremony, and legendary boxer MC Mary Kom led the Indian delegation carrying the tricolour. We'll leave you with these colourful visuals. Thanks so much for watching.